Hello everyone and welcome to the Battlecraft SMP, the only SMP that never makes you drowsy. Today I'm starting cautiously. Last episode we pranked Fuzzy by putting, I think, about 1,200 minecarts in his base. And there's been talk of retaliation on the server. Partly because in that process we crashed the server and it was not usable for several hours. So it's not just Fuzzy that wants revenge. I think pretty much everyone on the server except for Vert, he was my co-conspirator, want revenge. So we gotta keep an eye out today, just in case. Gotta check all the corners. I'm fairly certain that nothing has been done yet. I am checking everywhere in my base just to be sure. Yeah, I don't think there's anything going on yet, but we'll definitely keep an eye out. Now, in between last episode and this one, we've actually done a bit of work on our base. You can see that over here, I've added in some structures, some houses. A few episodes ago, we kind of outlined where this big sprawling village was going to go. So I started replacing those wooden outlines with actual structures. So these are the first buildings in our village. There's this house here, which I think looks pretty cool actually. It does have a bit of an interior, but we're not decorated the interior of any of these houses really. I do think eventually I'm going to bring some villagers over, because that would be quite fun to have all the villagers walking around this area. There's this other house here, which is a bit smaller, but also quite cute, I think. They've got a similar palette. Then over here, this is a completely different palette, but I think it works quite nicely as well. It's just kind of a bit of a contrast. It's got a lot of this sandstone inside, which I'm not sure fits particularly well, but it is hidden, so we'll leave it for now. And finally, this house here, and I'm quite happy with this one. I think the mushroom block is really cute. I think in buildings, especially like slightly woody, foresty kind of vibes for buildings, they fit really well. So this building here is actually fairly large. You can go in through here. This is where my portal to the top of the nether roof is, and you got some area up here where you can construct stuff, and you even got this door that leads out from an alternative entrance that kind of loops around towards the big lighthouse over there. So yeah, I like that very much. I like those structures very much. There may be a bit of tweaking I'll do later on, but for now they're nice. And in this episode I'm definitely going to be adding to those structures, because I've been working a bit on my creative server and I've got some ideas for the buildings in this section here. I've not quite finished all of them, but I do have a few buildings planned out, and I think they're gonna fit well within our base. Right, I need to explore what this thing is. This thing's appeared several weeks ago, and I'm not entirely sure what it's meant to be. I did see a message on the Discord about it. This has Vert written all over it. I've seen Vert just waterlog PCs before, so I think it may have something to do with him. Although this seems to be a place for spawning water Pokemon. Do we have a water person? I don't think we have a water person. As in like somebody who's specializing in water Pokemon. So this must be someone who's trying to find a specific Pokemon. I wonder what Pokemon they're trying to find. Interesting. Now I'm sure this is just a temporary thing, so I'm not too concerned with it. But it is a bit mysterious, so I'm intrigued. I think today we're going to start off a long-term project on the server. And that project is to catch them all. Like the famous Pokemon tagline says, the aim of Pokemon is to catch all the Pokemon. And that means hundreds and hundreds of Pokemon, especially with 1.4 coming out very soon. Now I do have a good selection of random Pokemon already, but up to now I've just been catching what I find, and I feel like I should start being a bit more systematic than that. So the first thing I want to do today is to try and catch all of the basic starters from the first generation. Now we do have Charmander. Now box 5, we'll call this the starting box. Actually, let's go to box 10. We'll start off with there. So Charmander is one of the starters. The other ones are Bulbasaur and Squirtle. Now, unfortunately, we do have a Squirtle, but he's avoided to Blastoise. So we do need to get ourselves an actual Squirtle. And I don't believe we have a Bulbasaur. And actually, realistically, we're going to need 3 of each. Because if we want to have every single Pokemon, including the evolutions, we're going to have 3 copies of them. So I do need 2 more Charmanders. So first mission of today is to look for a Bulbasaur. It's apparently spawned in jungles. Here is the jungle. Oh, we do get pandas. So I think that means this is classified as a jungle. Now, can we find a Bulbasaur? Now, I should put out Bulbasaurs are classified as ultra rare. So it may take us a while to find one. And I'm going to put it out there, we may not find one this episode. Statistically, every single time I've set out to find a specific Pokemon, it's not happened. So I'm not holding my breath for this one. But we don't have a Bellsprout, so I may as well capture that. Do I want to hit it, or do I just want to... I think I'll just throw some Pokeballs at it. I think we're going to start off obviously with Generation 1. So Bellsprout, actually not a bad find. And I don't think I got a Weedle, so we'll capture a Weedle as well. Okay, Vert's been here clearly. It does feel like someone's intentionally left these here. And I am on thin ice on the server due to the prank. So I'm going to be nice and I'm going to leave it there. Please take that into account, Fuzzy and rest of server. Wait, Cypher. Surely that must be a rare one, right? How many Cyphers can there be? I have just realised that I haven't brought essentially anything with me. I don't have a bed. I don't have a PC to look at Pokemon. I don't have a healing machine. Yeah, we got him. But luckily, whoever was here earlier has left both. That is good. It's a Tangela. I think we got Tangrowth, but we don't have a Tangela. Or Tangela? That's how I used to call it. Yeah, got a Tangela. / Tangela, however you want to call it. There's no sign of a Bulbasaur yet, but we are slowly filling our Pokedex with Gen 1 Pokemon. So it's not a whole waste of time. Come on, Beedrill, get into the tiny ball. How do big Pokemon fit in tiny balls, by the way? How does a Snorlax fit in just a normal Pokeball? I come to think of it, how are Pokemon on the PC? Are they digital? Like, are we interacting with digital beings, or like, are we somehow transforming them into data? Are we shrinking them? Like, is matter in Pokemon something that we can freely transform? Like, could a human go into a Pokeball? Yeah, but like, so what happens to a Pokemon's body when they're transferred to a PC? Like what happens to those atoms? This is very confusing stuff. I'm not sure why I'm just thinking about it right now and not like the 20 years that I've been playing Pokemon. But the physics of Pokemon don't make a lot of sense. Do Pokemon die of old age? I need to move on from this, otherwise we're going to find some very upsetting answers to some questions. I don't want to spoil it for kids. Kids, Pokemon are fine, don't worry about it. Let's get back to looking for Pokemon and ignoring all of these existential issues. I've been searching for over an hour and I can't seem to find a Bulbasaur. Oh, it's a nice Cypher though. That's fun. So I think I'm going to have to give up on him in this particular episode. The aim is definitely to capture all 3 starter Pokemon, but at the moment the ultra rare is it's a bit of an issue. What I may end up doing is returning here in between episodes, kind of grinding this area out to see if I can stumble across one. But for now, I think let's move on to something else. Now it's time to get some progress on our base, and I think we're going to do that in the form of a time lapse. Let's go! I've made a terrible mistake, an absolutely terrible terrible mistake. I'm just in the process of finishing our new buildings, and one of those buildings, which I designed in creative, uses a particular block called a lodestone. There you go, there it is, that's the lodestone, and I've always wanted to use it in construction. However, there's a problem with the lodestone, and that problem is that it costs 1 netherite ingot to make 1 lodestone, which is a lot because a netherite ingot is 4 ancient debris, and ancient debris isn't easy to come across, let's be honest. And finally, that's the 60th one, so we have enough to finish off our project. Let's go and do that and see the results. We have finished this section of our village. There's several buildings that I've had here, and I was trying to use very different styles for each of them to give them their own character. This thing here is probably my favourite. I really like the lapis lazuli as a block, and I think this is like a little fishing hut with a pier that looks onto the lake. I may even build a ship here eventually, a boat or something, but I really like the combination of quartz and the lapis. This structure here, which I'm thinking is more like an inn, that will eventually oxidize. This thing here is more like a tower, possibly some kind of wizard's tower. This thing here is the one where we've used these very, very expensive lodestones, and I especially like this structure because it's on an angle. I tend to build a lot of, fairly rectangular, square, symmetrical builds, so I wanted to push myself by doing slightly different shapes, and I think this has come out quite nicely. Over here we actually got like a little shed, almost like a little workshop maybe. This is a tiny little building, but I think it fits quite well with its surrounding. And finally this structure here, just another basic house. Now obviously we're not completely done. There is other structures behind me here to do, some on this side of the path, and then obviously the big main village across the river, plus a whole load of decorating all the way around. However, I need to talk to you about something that happened while I was doing this building. We've been pranked, and it's a good one. Now what you see up there isn't some kind of render issue. That is my lighthouse, except it's more like a dark house at the moment. Look at this. This is just a whole lot of obsidian. Casey and Fuzzy are the ones to blame here. I mean, as I said at the start of the episode, it is completely understandable and I don't blame them. I'm just dreading having to do something about it. The funny thing is that they were building this entire obsidian monstrosity while I was building my village, and not once did I see them. For 35 minutes they were here, did not see them once. So we'll see what happens next, but that will have to be in the next episode. I hope you have enjoyed this one, and if you have, please remember to comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.